everyone, and welcome back to Winter Climbing Weekly Plus. That's what I'll call this. It just occurred to me that how much there was to cram into this week's short, and I only get 3 minutes on Instagram, so I thought I may as well do a slightly longer one, delving into why I think certain things and a bit more information of what's happening. Basically, throughout all of it, because I have 1 minute to say what's happening today, 1 minute to say what's happening the weekend, 1 minute to say for the rest of it. It's like each of those sections could have easily taken me 5 minutes each, so I thought I'd make it a slightly longer, more relaxed video where I can talk a bit more freely and really take my time to explain my points a bit more. So what we've got at the moment, we have got not the best kind of conditions. It's great to see the minus face being climbed, Orion being climbed, and lots of good ice routes on the bend being climbed. But apart from that, the mixed routes haven't really been touched too much. And there's been some pokes towards Anik Moor, Loch Nagar, the stuff high up on Craig Meggie as well. Those have kind of held on the Thor. Polyphemus Gully being pretty cool to see that getting climbed in Loch Nagar, although not the best reviews, but it's kind of infamous for that being a little bit scary at times. So yeah, going high up, the ice is still good. That's about 1,000 meters. So I did bring this picture up in the short, but this is a bit of a closer up. So it's still not the best. It has suffered a bit, but still that's completely climbable in my opinion. Especially with a good overnight freeze is what you really need to bring these routes into condition. And just to nail that home, this is the ice hose on Ben Jerrig. I appreciate like the bottom pitches are just not like absolutely not there. But you can see where this is about 950 meters here at the bottom of this pitch, and the ice is held on, still not climbable, but there's significantly more ice there than lower down. So this was a couple of days ago now. This is Penguin Gully, I think. So yeah, the bottom pitch is just being completely stripped, but there is ice hanging around on any mountains that is above 900 meters. So it's worth seeking out. After these next few cycles, that there might be some pretty funky ice routes high up on the mountains. Lower down, I think that might be us for the season unless we get something really radical, but the altitudes that are similar to those minus face routes, there might be some kind of off the beaten tracks. That's why Loch Nagar has been pretty cool to see those kind of routes being explored, and yeah, the highest routes on Meggie that have held on. So if there's anything higher up that's icy, it still might be worth taking a punt if it is, really high up after a few cycles, which we hopefully should be having. Now, I've been checking this all day because it is pretty exciting just to watch these temperatures plummet on Anik Moor. And essentially what we've had significant precipitation west coast from this time yesterday, really. It's just been raining all night, absolute slush puppy up there. And now throughout the day we are cooling down, so the freezing level's dropping quite radically, and we're getting snow. So lots of snow falling on Anik Moor right now. I think probably the CIC hit as well. Probably, yeah. So we're freezing below the CIC hit, and you see lots of fresh snow there, falling redly. So -1, so freezing level snow. So we've probably got snow down to what, like 400 meters currently on the west coast, 500 meters, which is really great to see, and it's really significant amount. So that does tie in with these freezing levels that they're going to continue to drop throughout today. So we might see snow down to really, really low lying levels tonight. So it's the 300 meter freezing level there for midnight, and then it's like the wet bulb effect and colder particles effect can really bring snow to even lower levels than that. So it might be quite arduous walking in to some of those higher routes on the Ben, if that is where you are headed, but I've got a few more points to make about those when I'll get to it. So that's what's happening today. Basically, we're getting snow, and it is moving east as well. And some of the most recent charts say that we might be getting even more snow to the east coast than the west coast, which was quite amusing. This is the right chart. This is the right chart. Here we go. So precipitation accumulation on the west coast there. This is for this morning, so if I skip forward to tomorrow morning, there we are. So you see we've still got significant amounts of precipitation over the west coast, but 21 there of the northern Cairngorm, so potentially more over the east coast, but that will be falling as rainfall longer than the west coast. So that's why we've got this kind of uncertainty of how much snow everywhere's going to get, because the west coast will be having snow for longer, but the east coast, it's having more precipitation, but it's currently slightly warmer over here on the east coast. So it's kind of, you have to wake up and see what we've got. Now, whenever you have a significant amount of snowfall, it does obviously create issues, and I think the largest issue that we're going to get from this is the rain that we've had last night, and well, the slightly milder conditions. Everything is not frozen, so we're having fresh snow sitting on unfrozen turf and kind of poorly bonded rocks, basically. So there is the issue of getting on routes that aren't in condition, even though they look white. So, say for example, Bridge of Orchy will probably be covered in snow tomorrow. Maybe not covered, but there will be snow in Bridge of Orchy, and it may be tempting to go for these routes like, well, maybe Taxus or something, or on the west face of Benandoe. But the turf, I can tell you now for free, that the turf will not be frozen, and there will not be any ice below, say, 700 meters. That is for certain. So those routes probably aren't worth having a go at. Similarly, yeah, that just does apply to most of Scotland. Realistically, it's not frozen together, but we are getting quite a lot of snow to sit, and that will then insulate this unfrozen turf. So even if we did have these cold temperatures sticking around, which unfortunately we're not, it would take a really long time for routes like, say, Tallamannan to come into condition, since the turf is absolutely sopping. But anyway, Friday does look nice and sunny, and I am kind of hoping that with these northerlies and lots of precipitation, we are going to get rime on these north faces. So mixed routes, Northern Corridors will be grand, southern sector of Lochnagar, maybe the majority of Lochnagar, but it's quite turfy on the main buttresses. High up on the bends, obviously going to be pretty rimed, but getting to those routes might be a bit more difficult. SCNL is probably not a bad shout. But it all depends on when it all turns to snow, because you might not actually have to go that high tomorrow to get prime. It all just, yeah, there's a lot of up in the air factors. So Friday looks stunning, bluebird day, and then like I mentioned in the short, it's really sunny. So there's no point going to Charno tomorrow, because that faces east. It gets the sun straight away. If it does rime up, well, the turf's probably not going to be frozen at Charno, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But some of the mixed routes, they will just be absolutely stripped in the sun within by lunchtime. It'll all be completely black. I reckon you can go rock climbing. West facing crags, they get the sun in the afternoon, so you're going to need an early start if you go into them. And similarly, with the sun rising even higher, some of the sectors that weren't getting the sun, say in January and December, will be getting a lot more sun now. Say Black Spout Buttress on Lochnagar, that will be blasted in the sun for most of the day, and like I mentioned, Mess of Pottage will be in the sun in the afternoon. Yeah, I think in the afternoon. But places like Helslum, Stag Rocks, they're just probably not even worth considering. Cobbler as well. That's ages away realistically with the unfrozen turf down there. So the high pressure isn't really building. It was supposed to be building stronger, and there was lots of model consensus with this, but it's just kind of buggered off now, which is a bit of a shame. So we are getting quite strong, mild southwesterly winds, and this brings another issue of now this fresh snow is getting moved around quite a lot, and it's going to get moved from the southerly aspects around to the northeast through easterly aspects. And I'm not going to sit here and lecture you about avalanche conditions, but in terms of climbing conditions, it's also going to make it pretty unpleasant. Say for those 400-meter long routes on the Ben, well, Ryan, that might have a lot of fresh slab, fresh powder, just a lot of stuff on it. That's going to take a lot of clearing if we get a lot of snow. So this is where the ifs are coming back again. If we don't get that much snow, then it's going to be absolutely grand. It will refreeze on Friday. Saturday will be cracking. But if we do get lots of fresh snow and then it gets moved on the southwesterly wind, a lot of the high routes on the Ben will just become A, swimming, or B, potentially inaccessible, with avalanche risk, and cornices will be building pretty quickly. We've got those winds sticking around for Sunday, so it's going to get exacerbated even more with deeper deposits of wind slab building on basically all the crags that you want to go to if they get stripped in the sun. So we've got a really difficult weekend here, and furthermore, it's going to be mild. We could just get ruined on Saturday, and then if it's bad on Saturday, it's not going to get better on Sunday, just because we are just staying milder. But realistically, that's all I can really say for the weekend. There's nothing particularly certain. I'd see what we get tonight, and then on Friday, a few people are obviously going out on the glorious weather and see what's out. Saturday is going to be the higher chance. You might have to go fairly high. And then Sunday, if Saturday's great, Sunday should be okay. If Saturday's poor, Sunday's going to be no bother. Don't bother. So kind of gauge what people say and what's found, that kind of jazz. Now for the rest of the week in a little bit more detail. Monday again looks slightly warm and mild before a slightly cooler shoulder brings in, and it should be fairly low winds, a little bit cold, so there might be some routes to have a go at, especially if we are milder as well through Sunday. Could help consolidate that new snow quite quickly. So fingers crossed that is the case, and the higher routes on the bend might start to refreeze in this on Monday. So maybe the likes of Green Gully, Combe Gully Buttress, obviously the minus face, and that kind of they're indicating maybe if the snow conditions allow you to, and if that snow goes under a nice kind of thaw, getting a bit soggier, there's +2 degrees on Sunday, and then refreezing again if this little window comes through. But again, it's not that cold, it's just cold enough to bring those really high routes into condition there. So you can see that's probably just touching -degrees, -2, -3 on the bend there. And then here's the snowfall event for Tuesday, which I've seen a couple clickbait things about, and they might not be clickbait. There is a lot of precipitation in this weather system moving through, and the west coast is getting absolutely bombarded by it. It's basically the jet stream is going so far south, and it's just kind of snipping up enough moisture to hit the cold air to produce snow. So you can see the jet stream's diving really far south here, and it's just got a little bit of a shoulder that's flicking upwards, and this is what's going to clash with the colder air and bring precipitation. So it's not going straight southwesterly to northeasterly to bring warm mild air. It's kind of a cold plunge, and then it's slipping up at the last minute and hitting the colder air. So we are potentially seeing snow to fairly low levels with this one. If you see the freezing level just here, it's here you can see the kind of the colder tongue, which will have, the milder tongue, which will bring that moisture hitting the colder air mass, which, like I mentioned on Monday, might bring some refreezing, bring some roots in hopefully. And when they do collide, the precipitation is going to fall to the west coast and the 600-meter freezing level there. So if that exact chart came out, you'd see significant snowfall down to 500 meters, but it's a long way away, and there's so many more question marks that I'm not going to say that with any certainty, but there are indicators there that could be a potential outcome. Now, if I bring up again the accumulation amounts, so this, where are we here for? This is for Friday, and I'll just bring this through. So this is the total accumulation between now and the time. So this is through to Monday here. So the west coast is still seeing the most drips and drabs moving in of this slightly milder air mass through the weekend, but then through Tuesday this is a lot of precipitation. So if this falls as snow, well, the skiers are going to be very happy. So you can see through Tuesday there, 46, 58, 77, 83, any more than 83, 84 there. So that's through Tuesday. We're seeing 50, 60 millimeters of rain on the west coast, and that's potentially falling as snow. So that's something to be happy about. It is falling everywhere, but mainly to the west coast. There's significant accumulation, still 10 mils maybe to the east coast there. And the last thing I wanted to well, I've got one more after that. So after that we've got a slight chance of another snowfall event on Thursday. This one will be milder, as the jet stream is slightly more powerful, and we don't have that colder air mass behind it. So slightly milder, but still potentially and hopefully bringing snow to the high mountains, and maybe even thawing some of that lower snowpack. So here you can see, this is the front here as well. You can see it's a slightly warmer, slightly higher freezing levels that's colliding, and then there you go, 1,000-meter freezing level. 1, 2, so hopefully that will bring snow to maybe 900 meters if this exact chart came across, but that is probably not going to happen. So another chance of precipitation, maybe falling as snow on Thursday as well. If not, that should help consolidate what we get on Tuesday. So there's a lot of precipitation in the forecast. Again, I can bring you the accumulations here. So here we are Wednesday night, and you can see these numbers ramp up through Thursday as we go towards Friday there. So not as much, but still 30, 40, maybe even 50 millimeters of precipitation, mainly on the west coast, 10, 15 over east as well. So Lots of low pressure bringing moisture, hopefully snow, hopefully a mixture of snow and then rain, snow and rain. So even though we are in March now, we're still getting these good cycles. It's only going to build things from there. And why is that so important? Just because there's signals for some really cold air masses, cold dry air masses towards the end of the month. So here you can see this kind of like this is what we've got at the moment. So the low pressure system's whipping through next week, and then really strange kind of systems here. I'm not going to go too much detail, but there's chances of this Scandinavian colder air tapping back in, and if that does happen, say like that, it's going to bring really cold settled conditions. And just crossing my fingers here, because if we get the perfect run of systems and then this exact chart, it's going to be one of the best weeks of winter climbing in recent history. But that's just me being a bit optimistic there. Like, that is just cold high pressure sat on top of us after the potentially a few weeks or 10 days of stormy conditions, but snow, rain, snow, rain. So really fingers crossed that these kind of charts can come off. But that's just me being super optimistic. Finally, just going through the ensembles here, you can see really cold here on Saturday, milder as this kind of air mass comes through on Sunday, Monday, and then into Tuesday, you can see it's kind of dropping off a bit cooler with that lower freezing level. This is for Inverness here, sorry, at 1,500 meters above Inverness. So there's the Tuesday event there, and there's the Thursday event as well. So slightly milder on the Thursday one, but potential for some really good conditions. So if you are going out this weekend, do just be aware that the turf isn't going to be frozen. The rock is not going to be very well bonded. The ice routes might be swimming. They will probably definitely be busy as well, since we don't have that many options. But it's just a very difficult weekend. So best of luck wherever you're headed, and thank you very much for listening.